Top 8, baby! Hello everyone, I'm the second best Irelia from the Lille Regional. It happened this weekend. I'm gonna do a deck profile showing all the cards that I chose, and yes, I'm the Irelia guy that runs a lot of units, and I will explain why I do that and what's the benefit of running a build like this. So, my chosen champion is of course the green Irelia, because this card is super broken and it's super good. We're gonna show off the 3-offs first, which is 3 in guards, 3 defined dance, 3 disciplines, 3 GAs, and 3 boots. Some people ask me why it's 3 boots, why it's not 2 boots, and like siren and so on. There's a simple reason why. First of all, the battlefield, while Moss is a bit more popular right now. But most importantly, it's because of how the deck runs. Like, this card is really good in this build, because you have a lot of units. And the reason it's super good is because of the main core of the deck, which is my brother, my mother, and my lonely uncle. Basically, this is the core that you want to find as much as possible. That's why I run 3 offs of each. So if you haven't seen the aggro Irelia and how it plays, it runs 10 2-drops, and it's basically a super fast and aggressive deck, right? What I implemented, what I added to this deck was a thing I call Potara. If you've seen Dragon Ball, you know it means fusion. As in, this deck can play as the aggro version, and it can play as the Protect the Queen. And if you've ever played like a lot of games of Irelia, most of the time you're not gonna go through the whole deck. So most of the time, based on what you get is what you play with. So the idea was to mix both worlds into one and be able to find either one build or the other one. And based on the side deck, I can like make preferences if I prefer the more aggressive build into some decks or the more controlled version, right? As in having protections for your queen, so to say. So this is like the main thing you want to see. That's why there's 3 of these, because you want to find them. I will be showing the combos, what you can do. Like if you draw a 2-drop plus Tide Turner or a 2-drop plus Sneaky, you're essentially going to 4 points, and most of the time your opponent is going to be at 0 points, and at that point it's like so easy to win because you establish the rally on the next turn and then you go for 6, you hold. Like I had a game against Kaisa. Kaisa had only 7 runes and I won on the next turn, so it's possible to do that. So this is the main core of the deck. Of course we run 3 Stellas. Why not run 3 Stellas? It's like super broken. You kind of want to see it. It's also one of those games where you find Stella and you just play with Stella and you ignore one of those other builds. So it's one of the packages that you can enable and you can make a decision based on the matchup. I played 2 Draven. For some reason, people on stream, like the casters, were saying it's unusual, but if you look at any list, everybody plays 2 Draven. Most of the time, because you can switch to Draven for 2 Vex. But I was considering to cut 1, and I just didn't have time to resubmit the decklist, so I was stuck with 2. But yeah, this is a good card against Kaisa, against Victor. It has deflect. In some cases, I even like when I'm at 5 runes, I just, if I have this in my hand against like a Kaisa or Victor and I know they don't have like big units, I just blindly play this and just force them to do like a falling star and minus 4 runes. Then I just lose this and I play with this throughout the whole game, and it's fine. And if your opponent like spends all their runes and tries to like do a bunch of deflect costs on this just to kill it because you played it blank, like with no protection, no runes up, most of the time players that are good, they're doing it for a reason. They're kind of baiting you, so don't get baited if you see something like this. So yeah, that's why Draven is good. It's also good with Charm, and yeah, it's a good unit to have. Going to the spells, I have 2 Ride the Winds. It's an amazing card. If an opponent overcommits to one side, you can Ride the Wind. If you're on a odd curve, like you're at 3 points, going to 5 and such, you can equal up the numbers by going to 6 and then just holding to 7 and finishing. Or you could just jump into the other battlefield, get the 7th and try to hold like that. if they overcommit to one side, and the point advantage allows you to do that. So 2 is very nice. I would not play 3 from my play testing. 3 is a bit too much. So I think 2 is like the perfect amount to have Ride the Wind. Only 2 defies. Like I spoke to the Best of Irelia guy, and essentially what I was telling him when I was like, I'm playing sneakies, I'm playing this, and he's like, how do you find space? And the reason I have space is because like I started to look at the deck list, look at the format, and decide like what kind of cards can I cut. And of course, Defies is usually not one of those cards. But what happens usually with Defy, if you have 3, and you face a matchup where it's not that good, for example, you just have a bunch of Defies in your hand. And even if it's a good matchup and you have 3, I usually only side in the 3rd one when it's like really needed. Otherwise, it's like the problem with Defy is that if you draw too many and it's in your hand, and I've seen like mirrors where people play and they have no buff spells or nothing just because they have an extra Defy in hand and it does nothing, and the board is just too big for them to go over the board. So I decided to minimize it to 2 just to find space in the deck. Like it's a good card, don't get me wrong, but if you have too many copies of something, that means you want to see it more often. And if you see too many of those, it's kind of bad. That's why in game 1 I usually like use Zone to filter out, and then like we'll get to the battlefields. But yeah, 2 Defies, 2 Charms. It's really good into Draven, into like red purple decks that want to build a backline and then bring here you and such. So, and it's very good with Draven, but 2 is more than enough for me. And then for the one-offs, we have Not So Fast. Yes, I know. Why only 1? So when I was doing coaching to one of our guys, he was actually playing the same list I was playing, and he did quite well in day 2. He faced a bunch of Dravens and won all of them. So Not So Fast is usually needed like for Rebuke, in my opinion. Like this is like the most often case where you want to see it. Of course there's other cases, but like usually like when people rebuke this, it doesn't feel so nice. So essentially this is a card that is like for Rebuke. Same for this one and same for this one. But instead of running like 2 Not So Fast, I have some in the side as well. Of course I'm not gonna go to a tournament with only 1, but still. There's like multiple options to like dodge Rebuke, right? All 3 are doing the same thing to dodge Rebuke, but since they're all one-offs, they have the possibility to do other things as well. Like being able to flash out if you need some movement, if you need to protect your units, and just like flash is not only a rebuke counter, right? That's what I'm trying to say. And hard bargain is the reason I have hard bargain instead of like a second Not So Fast is because hard bargain is a little bit better into like Victor, for example, right? Because if you don't have hard bargain in the main deck and they go to 6 points and they just decree you, it's GG. It's like not much you can do. Not So Fast is not gonna help you, right? And yeah, just based on the matchups from the cards that I saw, Defy basically solves most of the problems, and Not So Fast is not always needed, but it's also a good card. So essentially that's why I call it 2-1. But after the side deck, I do like sometimes add a second one. And the last card is 1 Rebuke, just because it's good in the meta. I was expecting a lot of Forerunner decks, and even in the mirror, like it's super good if you use it at the right time. It's a very, very good card to have in the main, in my opinion, just for this meta. So that's why I have these 4 one-offs in the deck. And now we're gonna go to the side deck. So like I mentioned, we have like a few spells that we have as counters, which is I have 3 one-offs, that's another Defy, another Not So Fast, and a Wind Wall. So if I see like I mentioned prior, like if I see that I can play slower into a deck, I can like take out some 2-drops and add these back in, and it's gonna be the same standard Irelia build that runs like 3 Defies and 2 Not So Fast. This is mainly for the Victor, because once again Decree is just GG if they are too fast. And for some like random decks, so like Kaisa's Time Warp, let's say, because against Kaisa you just like play this, you attach GA, you attach boots, you jump around and just keep a bunch of rooms open, and essentially you win. So yeah, these are like spells to counter other stuff, and it's all based on the matchup. So I will always look at the matchup, and like if I'm going second, I don't need that many 2-drops. I might even add these 2 instead of 2-2-drops, and so on. Like these are just flexible things for you to have. Afterwards, we have 2 Vex. Whenever like I see a matchup where Vex is good, like Master E, that plays Punch First like a mirror, and so on, I do prefer to have Vex instead of Draven. That's why you can do a 2-2 to side it out into Vex. Don't need to explain what Vex does, it's just good. Then we have 2 Adaptatrons for all those gear decks like Azir, like Misfortune Aurora that I played in the 3rd round and somehow won. I don't know what happened, but it happened. Yeah, so Adaptatron is really good. I really wanted to find space for a 3rd one, but like the space is tight because the last card I want to have is a Rebuke. Like I said, I was expecting a lot of Forerunner decks, and Rebuke is just super good there, unless they have Flash or anything like that. But yeah, a Rebuke at the right time is super good, especially with Vex. It costs only 1 power and 1 energy, which is super broken. So yeah, that's why we have the Rebuke. Now about the combo, like I'm gonna explain why I play these like small units and what you should always do like when you go first. So the main idea is to have like any 2-drop. It can be a Poro, it can be a Tide Turner, it doesn't matter. So turn 1, essentially what happens is you play a 2-drop, then your opponent plays like a 3-drop, which let's say is 3 might. Let's say it's this card, right? Like somewhere. So you're gonna go to the next turn, like draw a card, right? It should be like a 1-drop pump spell. That would be the best case. If it's non-guard, it's good. If it's Defiant Dance, it's broken. Then it's like super good. And essentially what you want to do is go with the 2-drop to the 1 location, get a point, play Sneaky to the other one, and you have like 1 up for one of these. If you score 2 points, and then when they try to like engage, you have a pump spell, and if you have this, it will even break the opponent's pump spell. Because if they, for example, do an axe, you do this, and they have a 2-drop, you still have more might than the axed like unit. But yeah, essentially you establish these 2 bodies on 4, and you have like 1 rune up for one of these to be able to pump it, hold it, then you move back, you play Irelia, then you go in to get 6, and essentially you can hold at that point because you just had 8 rune turn. So it's basically turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, and you're holding on turn 4. So your opponent has only 4 turns to do something, and you're holding with this. Which, if you are not able to hold one of the locations, this just can jump to the other location and finish the game on the next turn, on turn 5. So yeah, what if we don't get the Sneaky, right? So if there is no Sneaky and we have Tide Turner, we can still do the same thing, but it's gonna cost us a little bit more. But at that point we can have 2 runes up and have like a Discipline. So you're gonna play a 2-drop like a Poro, then it stands up, you go to 1 location, you conquer, you play Tide Turner targeting Poro. You restand the Poro with the Irelia Legend ability, and you're gonna go here. And at this point you're again on 2 points. Your opponent is able to like try to contest this, but they only had a 3 rune turn, and yes, this only works when you're going first, but there's other ways of going second, and I will explain that after I show the battlefields. That's why I'm like not rushing with the battlefields. So yeah, you hold these 2, you get 2 conquers. You are able to have this up because now you have 2 runes, and you can even double with these. And essentially that way you go for 4 points and your opponent is at 0, and then you just like establish and you do like the usual, go to 6, hold with Irelia, and then finish with boots by going there to the left, or just go back and go in with the Irelia. So yeah, this is like the main idea, and these are the battlefields. So usually the idea is to go second with this. The reason I use this as a go on second card is because it's super broken with sneaky. Once again, sneaky is so good. I don't know why you all caught the sneaky. It's so amazing. Like, why do you take out sneaky? It's so good. So yeah, you go in, you conquer with the sneaky, and essentially what happens is you can up 2 runes, and your opponent only had one drop on their first turn. So essentially, not only you're negating their like tempo swing that they have by going first, at the same time you have 2 runes up to protect the sneaky, and most likely you're just gonna go to 2 points. And from that point on, like, you can either establish Irelia, or like the reason I play 3 boots, and it's something you can be doing while going first, is just play boots on the next turn. If you play boots on the next turn and like one of your 2 units that was holding dies, or like this survives, you can just play boots. This becomes a 4. Their 2 drop is not able to defend this. You just jump here. And look at that, we're scoring points and we're going up like in our curve, and sooner or later the Irelia will be our late game finisher, and that's when we will win, because not a lot of decks can compete against this, right? So essentially the idea is that, yeah, you can play with the tempo that your opponent is playing at. Of course, unless it's Annie, then it's a bit too fast, but most decks you can be faster than them against most decks. And yeah, that's why I play Targon Peaks as going second card, because it's super good into sneaky. And if you don't get sneaky, well, it is what it is. You just play as a Targon game, and that's it. But yeah, it's super good with boots and sneaky and stuff like that. When I go first, or when it's neutral, most of the time I will use zone as my neutral battlefield. Just because in game 1, like you saw, I have a lot of units, and the reason I have them is for consistency reasons, to be able to consistently pull off this shenanigans of going to 4 points and like not allowing my opponent to play, or like being able to like yeah, do that stuff. So most of the time I want to have zones as my first game, because I can discard all the units that I don't need later on in the mid game and such. But if you really think about it, if you develop a 2 drop in the back and like you don't do much and just pull away, it's essentially +2 might for the combat later on. So it's not that bad to have that many units, I would say. You should try it out and see how it works. But yeah, zone helps me to filter out the cards that I don't need for that station in game 1, and after game 1 I will side out some cards depending on if I'm going first or second. If I'm going second, I most likely will take out a few Poros out, maybe like to keep a lonely Poro at 1, I'll take out 2 Poros and add like 2 spells. It depends on the matchup, but yeah. Going first is on, and going second is Targon Speak, and like the neutral, the going second, the going first is this way that I was looking at it. Unless like sometimes I see like a Victor deck and it's blue, that means they don't have a bunch of units, so might go with this in the first game. Just to find a hard bargain a bit faster and like have more hands and have more units, because against Victor I don't want to discard my units. I want to have as many units as I can. So yeah, this is the choice for the battlefields. So yeah, this is good, this is amazing, this is perfect, this helps a lot. I want to see these cards as much as possible with the combination of this. And if I get to draw Stella Corn, amazing, I get to play a Stella game. If I don't, I have this engine. If I don't get this engine and I got a bunch of spells, I can play Protect the Queen. Essentially a bunch of different builds combined into one, and as you can see, it works. It works. So yeah, let me know in the comment section below if you have any questions. I will be able to reply as soon as possible. I will consider a Metafy guide for every matchup for you to understand how to pilot this deck. If you're going to Atlanta and you need like any suggestions, let me know. I'll help you out as much as I can. And of course, thank you for watching. See you next time.